Here with Josh and Keith from Buckcherry. How's it going?
How's it?
Great, man. Great.
Great. So you're on the Confessions tour.
Yes, sir.
Keeps going on. Now the album. Now we're February. It's out. It's been exactly a year. Right around.
Almost. 19th it'll be a year.
19th it'll be a year, and the album actually dates back a year before that. So you've been sitting on this music for 2 years. You getting itchy to start writing new music? Have you started writing new music?
Yeah, we've written a complete EP, and we just got to do some touch-ups on it, and that's going to come out real soon. It's going to be a must-have for
all fans. Yeah, I want to know about the EP. So you had some special guests in the studio.
Yeah.
When is it coming out? Are they covers? I mean, there's not a lot of information about the album.
I know we don't really want to give it away yet,
Gotcha.
but it's definitely got a theme to it. You know, Keith and I have always been big fans of EPs, and I had a lot of them growing up, and so we always wanted to do one, and I think this is the right way to do it.
Yeah.
We wrote one song, and we got in touch with Brian Baker. Some of the guys in the band are friends with him, and Brian, as people may or may not know, was a founding member of Mind Threat.
Right.
Obviously, Bad Religion, and we're big fans of the bands that he's been in, and he's just a really awesome guy. He was a great hang. He came up to the studio and he played on the track, and it's really the first time we've had somebody guest on our record, so I was very excited.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing is, Bad Religion. What kind of music are we going to have on the EP?
It's I don't want to say it's all over the place, but we've never been afraid to kind of stretch out and try different things. So some of the stuff is I think is more introspective and involved, like some of the more involved moments of Confessions. Some of it's just like straight up punk stuff, and but it's all rock and roll. It's all kind of in our bag of tricks,
Yeah, now let's talk about, Buckcherry over the years have had a bunch of lineup changes, but you sort of are the Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons of Buckcherry. What keeps you together? What is that special bond?
They
you
have way better wigs than us.
yeah, they do. I could use one actually.
We always look at it like as a band. The lineup changes weren't something that we obviously foresaw or looked forward to,
but they're necessary.
Unfortunately, they have been. I think our goal from the very beginning was to have one band that lasted forever, and unfortunately, sometimes that's unrealistic. But I think we're really stoked on the way the lineup is now. Kelly's our newest addition. Kelly Lemieux on bass. He's played with so many people, and he's just a great guy and a great player, and he fits in really well.
Yeah, he really does. And listen, going back to 15, when you had sort of that big change, that was one of probably your greatest albums, right?
Yeah, we took a leap of faith, and Keith and I kind of got back together at that time. We just wanted to. It was all about let's just have a good time. That's all. If we're not having a good time, we gotta do something about it. And that's been really the overall kind of thing with us is if it starts becoming a drag, then we gotta make some changes.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's get back to Confessions. How did you approach the songwriting for Confessions? Because there's a theme that sort of carries through. Would you call it a concept record, or is that pushing it?
It started out with just the 7 cents, and then kind of morphed into I was writing a screenplay on my own life, and then I created this short story for the record. And then that's when songs like Water and Air and Dreamin' all came into the picture. And so I don't know, it was just kind of more of a theme record, with a story to go along with it. And then we got really stopped on, the funding for the movie. We had no idea how much it would cost to make these big ideas come to life, So it'd be fun to do that at some point, It's just that, especially in rock music, and music in general, there's just not a lot of money to throw around anymore like there used to be, So you can't do these giant productions like you want to unless you're really rich pop star, right?
I think so. We definitely had to change our entire approach to how we run the business of things, unfortunately. But going back to your original question, I think it was an evolution. It started off as a 7-song EP. It evolved into, Josh coming up with a story around it, and then merging the story that he was already working on. So it kind of, the story of his early, the story that he wrote, kind of narrated through his 7 sons, and it was a great challenge for us. I know it was a great challenge for Josh to I'm speaking about him like he's not here.
He's not there. I'll just stand in front of him here.
Staying in a theme like that isn't necessarily the most happy, feel-good theme. I can imagine it's daunting. So, like for the rest of us, it was all about trying to match that intensity with the music and the arrangements and what was going on. I think at the end of the day, we ended up with a really awesome, complete body of work.
Yeah, it's a great album. Gluttony is probably one of the shortest songs I've ever heard. Let me ask you about you. You've written songs for other artists, including Alice Cooper. How do you approach writing for other artists?
I mean, it's the same thing. I just kind of do what I do, and if it works for them, the Alice Cooper song was just a couple of riffs,
Right.
Just much like what I would do with Josh. Like when we write songs.
But you get into a different state. I mean, when you write a riff and you write a lyric and you go, this is for Buckcherry, and then you go,
I don't
you
know.
don't have these
Because
two
everything I do
piles,
is-
you don't have any, okay.
It's not like I need a side project to air out all these other ideas that I
Okay.
have. It's like everything I do is kind of in the vein of rock and roll. Every idea I ever have, I send it, over to Josh.
Good job. Okay, so there's not two piles of, here's the Buckcherry pile there. Buckcherry through the years have had these big singles, Lit Up, Crazy Bitch, and all that. Why make albums at this point? With iTunes, why not just put out a single every so often?
I mean, it seems like it's going there, but I
Right.
mean, we still kind of believe in that complete body of work. There's something about taking people on a journey over 10, 12 songs. I think the 17-song record is really just a waste of everyone's time.
Yeah, I agree.
Unless you make a double record, call it a double record. But I don't know, we still enjoy making that, but having said that, I'm sure we're gonna make shorter records and do singles and kind of roll with the changes of the modern industry.
It's interesting you mention that, because in the 80s, it seemed that when the CD came out, everybody had to have a 75-minute album, and now as we are in 2014, we're back to that 45-minute kind of album, which, thank God, right?
I mean, I listen to a lot of vinyl, and I pull out a record, and you got 8 songs, 9 songs on a record, and that was enough. And it got the, I think there's a lot of records with songs that no one needs to really be hearing.
Yeah, I fully agree. And speaking of songs that people don't get to hear a lot, on these different albums, there's a lot of B-sides, bonus tracks from Japan, there's EPs, Is there ever going to be a collection where you're going to take all the B-sides and put them out? Or fans just have to going through eBay and find them?
I mean, I think we'd love to do that at some point, but the greed of people at record labels probably won't allow us to do that.
Okay.
Because they're not worried about the fans, they're worried about their shareholders.
Fair enough. Is it?
If it was really about the music and really about us being able to represent what we do, we've been with 3 or 4 different labels at this point. So, I mean, even compiling our greatest hits was a bit of a chore because we couldn't get the rights to release our own songs.
That's got to be a real bummer, right?
I mean, it makes it interesting for us.
With Pledge Music and Kickstarter, and you look at Ginger, the Wild Hearts, and the Beach Boys, why not take Buckcherry, that independent group? And I know the record company's not going to like that question, but why not try to get the fans
because
to
it's international,
fund you directly?
We ask a lot of our fans already. They have to pay for a ticket to come see us play and pay for a CD. And it just feels weird to ask them to start, funding a record. I don't know, it's just weird, strange concept for us to kind of wrap our heads around right now. I think right now we want to, we're looking at doing it ourselves.
Right. Okay, great. So
I think a lot of people are going to start cutting out the middleman, which is the record label, because, if you look at last year, not a single rock band had a gold record. I mean, that's insane.
and if you look at the Grammys, there's no more rock records.
There's no rock. So, it's just, why have another person with, the hand in the pot when the pot isn't that big?
Yeah, no, I get that. Now, we're only February, so obviously the summer season's coming up. Where does Buckcherry go from here? going on a tour, are you going on advance work, or are you doing any kind of?
We will be on the road. We are already booked most of June in Europe, I think. We're going to get some South American days, obviously all over North America, one last time through my Confessions record. Japan is on the horizon for us. So pretty much,
All headlining though, or part of packages, or?
I mean, every conceivable,
Configuration.
There's the festivals and some headlining stuff and some support stuff.
Great, well, that's fantastic. Well, thank you for your time. It's been a
Thank you.
much of a pleasure.
Yeah, yeah.